Hello, good evening, and welcome to Lightforce. It's so good to have so many of you on the webinar this evening. We set this webinar up because we've had so many of you reaching out to understand a little bit more about solar and how it can help with power bill reduction, with energy independence, and ultimately with reducing our impact on the environment as well, which is going to be so important for New Zealand's future. My name's Dan. I'm one of the senior consultants here at Lightforce, and ultimately I'm super passionate about the future of energy here in New Zealand and the massive role that solar is going to play in that. So I'd like to give you a bit of a rundown first of what tonight's all about. Okay, first things we're going to be doing are unpacking what solar is and how it feeds into your home. We're going to hear a little story about Lightforce and who we are, our vision. You're going to be hearing from our founder and co-founder, Luke and Kat. And then what we're going to do is move in and see how we design a solution, a bespoke solution for your home. From there, we'll have a look at what our customers say about us. And then after that, well, it's the big giveaway. Luke, he's going to be talking through the story of Lightforce and giving away a $15,000 solar system for one lucky customer. Through all of this, there is the Q&A function at the bottom of the webinar here tonight. So please do feel free to use that. Ask any questions you like, and one of our incredible customer service team will be on hand to help you out with those. There'll also be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so please stick around for that, where we'll be unpacking solar a little bit more with Luke. There's also the opportunity to join one of our solar consultants in a breakout room and get a solar consultation directly after the webinar. So please stick around for that, and you'll have a tailored solution for your home, for your family, directly after the call. So that leaves me to hand over now to our co-founder, Kat, who's got a little story about Lightforce, our vision, and that lighter, brighter future.
At Lightforce, our vision is to empower a lighter, brighter future for the whole of Aotearoa. Lighter in terms of the footprint we have on our environment, and brighter in terms of the impact we have in our communities. As the leaders of New Zealand's solar energy revolution, we're creating a lighter, brighter future by harnessing the cleanest, greenest, most cost-effective renewable we've got, the sun. By simply putting solar panels on the roofs of homes, businesses and farms up and down New Zealand, we can power our lives for the better using the sun's energy. Pretty neat, huh? The more of us that let the sun in, the more balance we restore in nature. And just as the land will come alive with the birds, the bees, and more vibrant shades of green, the coral reefs in the oceans will regenerate and fish will thrive. But our vision for a lighter, brighter future is also about you and me, and how we connect today to create a better tomorrow. So by working with iwi and education providers, our Lightforce Solar Training Academy creates opportunities for young people to get into the solar industry. By partnering with local like-minded businesses and our community workshops and events about food, nutrition and sustainability, educating tamariki and adults, so we can create healthier and better outcomes for ourselves, our families and for Aotearoa. And by gifting solar solutions to charities, we enable them to free up funds so they can focus on what they do best, making a real difference. With the oil industry predicted to collapse by 2030, a lighter, brighter, carbon-free future is closer than we think. But the decisions we make today will create the world our kids and grandkids will inherit tomorrow. So there's never been a better time to let the sun in.
Thanks for that, Kat. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and it gave you a nice glimpse into who we are here at Lightforce, what our mission is, and what drives us. Next, we'll look at solar. What are those nuts and bolts? How does it fit together? And ultimately, how does it power our homes?
So how does solar power work? How does this free energy from the sun power our homes. When the sun comes up and hits your solar panels, they turn sunlight into DC energy. This type of energy can't be used in your home, so your solar inverter changes it into AC electricity, like the type your appliances use. From here, it flows into your switchboard, where it's redirected throughout your home through your existing electrical wiring. The panels work during daylight hours, even if it's cloudy or overcast, and any excess power that you don't use gets sold back to the grid. And the good news is, you'll get a credit on your power bill every month for this. Because power costs more to buy from the grid than you can sell your excess for, lots of people choose to install a battery. If you do choose to add a battery to your system, you can store this excess energy produced during the day to use at night or in a power cut. In a power cut, you don't want to have your battery backing up your entire home, just the things you really need, like a few lights and a couple of power points to plug in your essentials. And if you still produce more energy than you can use or store, then this energy also gets sold back to the grid. And to keep track of all this electricity coming in and going out, we change your meter to an import-export meter. When the sun goes down, your panels don't produce energy, but you can still use what's stored in your battery. And if you need to top up, then electricity still flows from the grid. And you can rest easy, knowing that when the sun comes up tomorrow, you'll be powering your home with free energy from the sun all over again.
Great. Well, hopefully that was informative and understanding a little bit more about how solar works and feeds from the sun through your panels and into your home. If you've got any more queries at this stage relating to solar, please do put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. Luke or one of the team members will be on hand to answer those at the end of the webinar, or you can go straight through to one of the breakout rooms with one of our solar consultants. And it's that piece that I'd like to talk about next. As a solar consultant, it's my job to help you find the right solution for your home. We recognize that there's no two homes, or two families for that matter, alike in New Zealand, and this is a tailored approach. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at your power usage and your energy profile, as well as your home, and find that right solution for you. So it all starts with the power bill. And you'll see here that this home uses an average of 20 kilowatt hours or units of energy per day. That's 7,300 units per year. We're also going to take the cents per kilowatt hour rate here, and this is all going to feed into our calculations of the solar savings. Next, we come into our Aurora solar modeling tool. And when you come into a consultation, we would have already built your home and fitted it with LiDAR technology with all of the shading influences, such as these trees around the property. You'll see that we bring in shading influences such as your chimneys and other features on the roof. And we'll click irradiance. What this does is it looks at the sun path for the whole year over your roof. Summer through winter, back to summer again. And this gives us a really, really clear picture of what the level of solar irradiance is going to be on your roof. And it's these numbers that we're going to look at down here. Naturally, on this north-facing section of roof, we've got really, really great numbers there, 98%. Coming further to the west side, 89%, and the east, 86%. So we still look at east-west splits as well. Let's see how many panels we can fit on this roof. We'll start with the north side. Looks like we can fit 6 panels there. Let's have a little look us. Okay, we can fit 10 panels there, but we've got to be a little bit careful here because we've got a shading influence, this chimney. And you'll see that the shading in our radiance map looks like these 2 panels at least, potentially even this panel as well, will be shaded. So let's put DC optimizers on those. We can now simulate the performance of these panels, and that's going to tell us exactly how much power is going to be produced by these panels every single year. This is a great amount of annual production for a solar-only installation, even heading towards a battery. If we wanted to be solar abundant, we would probably put on a couple more panels, like the 3 panels on the north-facing section here. We want to be solar abundant because ultimately we'll want to charge that battery throughout the year, even in this dip in winter. There'll be plenty of abundant energy through summer. That'll be going out to export, and through winter you'll be fully charging your battery. Well, as you can see, we've got some pretty awesome technology here at Lightforce, and ultimately that provides us the confidence to know that the solutions we're building are going to be right for you and your family. Remember to stick around for the end of the webinar, where you'll be able to jump straight out into a breakout room with either myself or one of the solar consultants, and we'll be able to help you design that right bespoke solution for your home. Well, that's it from me. This is me signing out, but I'll be handing over to Luke after this, who'll be running through his story and obviously the competition. But before that, let's hear from some of our awesome customers on their experiences with Lightforce Solar when they decided to let the sun in.
We chose to go with solar because obviously there's a lot of emphasis nowadays on renewable energy and doing what we need to for not only New Zealand's clean green image but also for ourselves, because obviously solar and renewables are money savings. We not only generate electricity, we also sell it back into the grid. And part of the reason that we wanted to do this, like every homeowner, we get that bill at the end of the month and we clutch our heads and we go, it can't be this much. During the summer months particularly, when the sun is high, we get a credit, which makes me absolutely do a little dance. And I check my app and I can see how much electricity we're generating, which is fantastic as a homeowner and also as a person who does the family budget. In the winter months, obviously the light is a little lower here, but we do experience some sunlight as time goes by, and Lightforce set up the most consistent usage to gain maximum benefit from that. And the guys turned up, they were very personable, they explained everything they were going to do, they were careful around our house, which was important to us because it's a brand new build. And one of the guys who turned up, I found out later, I didn't realize at the time, but it was the boss of the company. And that really impressed us, that the boss was willing to come all the way out here and have a look at the system, make sure it was being put in properly, and extremely personable, and we really found that was a great thing to be able to see happening. So we understood basically when we put a system in, it would have quite a load expectation because we have a big spa pool, and also my mother-in-law lives with us and likes the heaters on a lot, so we needed a system that could cope with us. So we have 22 panels on our roof, and we put a battery in to hold that, and we also later on decided to put another battery in because we wanted to save as much sunshine as we could along the way. Part of also what we're doing here is the aesthetics of the place. It was designed by an architect, so to have the black panels up there which fit in so beautifully and make the place look really great. There's a talking feature also for our friends who come around. They all comment on it, which is lovely. In New Zealand, we need to be thinking about sustainability. We need to be thinking about how we can make the most of what we are able to do with technology, and the system Lightforce has put in it fulfills all our needs with that, and means that we can also feel that not only are we getting our electricity free, we get water from the heavens, we get sunshine from the heavens, and wow, life's good when that's happening.
What I enjoyed about them, especially Luke, was this hands-on attitude. He really came to me, told me, you'll put these, I don't know what you call those meters, but it was measuring the usage on the farm. He said, you'll do that, and then in a week from now, we'll talk. And it's exactly what he's done, and that makes a difference. There's no graphs this way or that way. It's solid. This is what you're using. This is what I can do for you. This is what you'll be saving, and that's what I like. And then the team that they send out were professional, his own people, not contractors, his own people, which is important. And they were professional, they got their job done, and they a pleasure to work with.
We think it's fantastic. We think everyone should have it. You know, we look out and we see all these roofs and they all are crying out for solar panels. But yeah, we're always telling people that it's definitely something that they should do, you know, and I think if you've got the money in the bank, then you are much better off installing solar because you're saving so much money straight away. It's much better than getting interest in the bank, which gives you virtually nothing these days. And I think even if you had to borrow the money to get it, it would still be way worth it because the savings you're getting is you know, would far outweigh the cost of paying that money back.
Around $8 negative power bill a week at the moment, as opposed to, we'd probably be paying $250 to $300 a month. So yeah, we started beginning of winter a negative $70, and at the end of winter we were negative 40. But even only a few months and we're back up to negative 100. So yep, and it'll just get better from here on in.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Luke and I'm the founder and MD at Lightforce. Originally from Wolverhampton in the UK, I've been in New Zealand for over 10 years. I started Lightforce just over 7 years ago, just me and my L300 typical tradie van doing electrical and solar work around Auckland. Seeing what was going on around the world with renewable energy and technology, especially in solar, I got quite excited about being one of the first to bring solar to families and businesses around New Zealand. So in 2014, we did our first solar install in Grey Lynn, and we've never looked back. A big point of difference for Lightforce is we're fully in-house. Our amazing team of customer care people, consultants, engineers, technicians, electricians, roofers, they're all full-time employees at Lightforce. We don't use subcontractors for any part of your solar journey. This means we can control the entire process, delivering really high standards of work and customer support. When you go solar with Lightforce, you're a customer for life, and that's what's really important to us. We're also one of the most experienced installers in the country. Now, with over 6,000 installs under our belt throughout the whole of New Zealand, we build solutions for residential, commercial, and agri-solar customers. We really are one of the solar experts in New Zealand, and solar is our passion. Getting Kiwis powered by the sun and producing their own clean, green, homegrown energy, saving money, gaining energy security, and doing their bit, reducing our collective carbon footprints. It's pretty cool. 2 years ago, we set up Lightforce Power, and our goal is to be New Zealand's biggest rooftop generator. So when you go solar with Lightforce, you can join a network of generators just like you, producing and sharing your homegrown solar energy. Watch this space for solar farms coming soon. As mentioned before, we are operating all over New Zealand, both North and South Islands, so your friends and family can also get the Lightforce Safe Hands treatment wherever they are in the country. You heard a little bit about our vision and purpose at the beginning, but this is really important to us, and taking responsibility environmentally and socially in the community work we're doing, whether it's through our training academy, where we're giving opportunities to young ones wanting to enter a thriving industry, running educational workshops with little ones to get them excited about where food comes from and the importance of nutrition, or whether it's gifting solar systems or working with charities that we love.
Kia ora. My name's Joel Bowden. I'm the Commercial Solar Manager at Lightforce. As you can see, we're really excited about what we do. We think we're onto a great thing here and would really like to have you come and join us after this for a discussion with one of our solar consultants. In the chat function, you'll see a link that will take you through to a waiting room. In there, you'll be met by me and a team of consultants. We'll move into breakout rooms and it will give you a chance to have a one-on-one discussion with our team and look at what solar can mean for you. I'll now pass you back to Luke, who will have a brief wrap-up and then look at the draw for the $15,000 free solar system.
Hey everybody, hope you all enjoyed that.
and I hope you're all safe and well. We're still locked down here in Auckland. And yeah, so it's been a great success. This is the finale. Hopefully next week we are going to be back to business as usual in Auckland. But I just want to congratulate Edward last week on his winning of the $15,000 system. And we will start with the draw. So we'll do the draw now and see who this week's lucky winner is. So fingers crossed and good luck. We'll start that. Nigel Saunders from Auckland. Congratulations, Nigel. Can we bring Nigel onto the screen? Is that possible? Maybe not. Congratulations, Nigel. One of the team will be in touch early next week. Is he in? Nigel? You there, Nigel? That's okay. So I'll be hanging around for a Q&A. So any questions, drop them in the Q&A. I'll be sticking around for the next 20, 30 minutes so I can answer all your questions. If anyone wants to break out into meeting with a consultant, go into the Q&A or into the chat, click the link and you can go off and talk with a consultant. Hi, Nigel.
G'day, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. That's a nice surprise. Thank you very much.
That's all right, congratulations.
I'm celebrating already, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah, congratulations. That's pretty cool.
Thank you very much. Yep, perfect timing for a new build.
Are you building a new home?
We are, yes.
Cool. And is it in Auckland?
It is, yep, just up in Red Beach. Elevated section, truckloads of sunshine.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, that's super exciting.
I need the sun to power my new electric scooter. So.
Oh, wow. Cool. So, Nigel, what we'll do is one of the team will be in touch on Monday and we'll just get all your details and we'll go through a pretty similar process to what you've just watched there. I suppose we'll be using the building plans rather than the Google Maps, and we can still do the same from the building plans.
We've got those, resource consent just submitted. So, yep.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's super exciting, and yeah, congratulations.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
No worries. Cool. So, yeah, I'll be hanging around for Q&A, and anyone that wants to break off into one of the break-off rooms, you can head there now. Link is in the chat. And I'll start looking at some of these questions and answering them for you guys. We need to install a new roof, long-run metal roofing on our 1960s house. How much liaison needs to occur between the roofers and Lightforce panel installs, fixings, cables? Hey, Rachel, we don't really need to liaise with the roofers at all, to be honest. One thing that would potentially be good is once you have got a date locked in, if you were definitely going solar, would potentially come in when they take the roof off and just run some cables just for ease of wiring. But that we don't have to do that. We can come in and retrofit afterwards. So nothing really needed there. Hello, is it feasible option to install solar power on our roof? It's a second-story house with a very steep roof. I also live on a farm. Birds ravage our roof. So we can install on steep. Obviously, it's just a health and safety concern. So, you know, as long as we can get a scaffold there, then there shouldn't be any issues. We up to 45 degrees is, you know, doable. Anything above there will be on scaffolding. Birds. Not a major issue. There is some bird netting we would put round the system to prevent them building nests underneath, and probably just require a bit more washing than your standard system. I have a Grundfos bore pump, which has internal electronics. Is solar power rest to these high-tech pumps? Terence, that one's probably one of the engineers that would give you the exact, I'd say we would be okay, but I wouldn't want to
say that without just running the specs by the engineer. So if you sent us over in an email the specs of the pump, we could just take a look at that. But I would say there'll be pretty little risk with that. Abby, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
I'm just I'm on the open piece. Are you? Most of them have been answered in the answered. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. In the Q&A, most have been answered. But if anyone wants to chuck them in the chat now, so like, can I have a look in the chat?
Peter, do you buy these systems outright? Yep, Peter, we sell them outright to the systems owned by the customer.
Chris asks, we're in a high up, strong wind area. Is this a problem?
No, not a problem. We just generally would put more fixings in, so closer spacings on the feet, just to allow for that additional strength. But we would just look at the location and look at the specs for the wind ratings in that area. You just additional fixings, so no issues there.
Scott would like to know a bit more about batteries, and has the cost of batteries come down yet?
It's definitely coming down every year. I suppose it depends when the last time you looked at it was, but seeing probably a 5 to 10% drop in batteries per year, roughly. Batteries are still the most expensive part of the system. Roughly $1,000 a kilowatt hour installed ballpark, depending on the battery. Maurice, how long will a panel last? A panel is warranted for 25 years, Maurice, and it's a linear performance warranty, so it naturally degrades over time, and at the end of 25 years, the panels we use should be outputting about 84% of their original output at the start. How about the panels? Are they getting cheaper or better? Panels have been getting cheaper dramatically over the last 10 years. They've sort of bottomed out now with what's going on in the world with the dollar, material shortage, and shipping pricing going up. We've actually seen a slight increase on the panels in the last 6 months, but they're down to 300% in the last 10 years. Do you have a V2H? David, could you just go into a bit more detail on that one? A V2H? Not sure what a V2H is, David. I think you're potentially talking about a EV where you can discharge the EV into the home. Oh, yep. So at the moment, no. I know it's coming soon, but at the moment, no, we don't have a two-way solution. I would say that will probably be next year. What's the cost?
Oh, sorry.
Ooh.
Sasha says, can you move your panels if you move house?
You can. We have done it for a number of customers in the past. Often people will just sell the system, put the price onto their house and sell it and leave it on there, but it can be unbolted and taken away. It's essentially a day's labor to remove and install. Peter, what's the cost? Interest? If you wanted to jump through with one of the guys or send in a power bill, we could have a look at that. But ballpark, 10 to 15,000 is your sort of average panel only system, and sort of 20 to 25 on those battery systems. Can the materials be recycled after 25 years, or do we hope to come up with a solution within time? Maurice, yep, there'll definitely be solutions coming up. The first one just opened in Australia, so there'll be massive business opportunities popping up for panel recycling. We're already starting to see it across the other side of the world, and no doubt it'll be coming here soon. We're a long way from needing to recycle any panels here because we've got such a small amount of solar in the country. Is only 32,000 homes with solar. We won't be seeing any come off the roof for at least the next 15 years. Is that all you've got there, Abby?
We've got one that says, do you provide a design service for building consent / pricing and liaise with a truss designer for roof loads from panels?
Yep, we take care of the whole thing for you. Generally, there's no loading issues residentially. We only get to loading issues when we're talking commercial, especially with a new home, but we would work in with your builder. Are solar roof tiles available? Yes, they're available. There's actually a company, Monia Tiles in Whangarei. They're just not cost effective at the moment, and you have to be building a new home with the solar roof actually being, you use solar roof framing and then the tiles drop in, but they are still economically not quite there yet.
Ashok asks, what brand of panel do you use? Also, can you comment on paying upfront for a system compared to not upfront?
We use Trina, paying upfront versus not upfront. So I suppose it's dependent on your situation. If you can, I think I gave a couple of examples in the last webinar. So, I mean, if you can get borrowing under 3% and your bill is over $270 a month, then it's actually cheaper to repay the system than to pay your power bill. So if you can access capital under 3%, then it's a no-brainer. And also if you've got I think I did an example on $30,000 last week. If you've got $30,000 in a term deposit with ANZ versus $30,000 on your roof, then you are returning 6 times on your roof versus being in the bank. How do you clean the roof / panels? We do offer a cleaning service. We work with a window cleaning company, and they just long poles with brushes on the end. They go out and it's just a very quick exercise. They go through and just give them a quick brush with water coming out the end of the brush. Some homeowners do it themselves. We recommend once a year, just a light brush off, but it is dependent on what environment the home is. Obviously, if it's in trees in the area or lots of birds or dust, then it might require twice a year, or totally dependent on the environment.
Walter asks, how long do batteries last?
Our batteries, the Energizers, have got a 10-year warranty, and at the end of the 10 years, it should be around that 85% again from the starting date. So they say 15 to 20 year expected life on the Energizers. How big are the panels? Dimensions. So a typical panel is 1,050, so 1.05 by 1.2. what would the average cost for a system be? New mid-sized family home to make electric bills a thing of the past. Hey Josh, so on average 10 to 15,000 for panels only, and around that 20 to 25,000 with batteries, which if you wanted to make electric bills a thing of the past, you'd go for a battery system. Hey Anne, can you install Tesla batteries? At the moment, we're not installing Tesla batteries. We're using the Energizer batteries. We just find they're a bit easier for entry. So you can start with a smaller battery and then you can add to it as you go. So you can start with a 6.1 and then you can add going up to 24.4, whereas the Tesla, you have to start with that big battery. It's not really modular. And live near the beach, and there is after treatment yearly panels. Shouldn't affect the panels. Again, I would double check that one, Sasha, before I put that one to the engineers, but I would say no on that. We do have a few clients that spray their roof and panels at the same time with like a wet and forget and clean them off, and there hasn't been any issues yet. But I would just run that by our supplier and the engineer. Veronica, we have, it's like a bird brush that goes all the way around the panels just to stop anything getting underneath and building nests, so that's not an issue. What is the typical price of retailers pay for energy? So going back to the grid, typical pricing is somewhere between 6 and 10 cents when you're exporting, which you'll get paid by the retailer. I think that was the question, Anne. Typical price you're paying for consumption at the moment is, depends where you are in the country, but in Auckland, probably 25 cents is probably average at the moment. Angela, no, it doesn't come with a standard quote. That is additional for the bird brush, but yep, if you were getting a quote, if you just note that, and I can get the team to add that in. It's very cheap. It's, less than a couple of $100.
Ravneet asks, how much is a 10 kilowatt battery?
So ours are 6.1 kilowatt hours and a 12.2, so we don't actually have a 10 kilowatt. So 6.1, I think, top of my head, I think is around 8 something. 12.2 off the top of my head is 11 something. But if you jump through into with one of the guys, I can tell you there and then. How long does an install take? On average, we're in and out within a day, but if it's a bigger system, it can take 2 days. Can you sell excess energy to your neighbors? Yep. So Maurice, if you join Lightforce Power, if anyone else that's on the platform, you can trade the energy with them. So a great example would be if you had a solar system and say the kids were studying in Dunedin, instead of getting a credit on your excess going back to the grid, you could actually donate that to pay the kids' power bill in Dunedin or your neighbor or whoever you choose, which is quite cool. What qualifications do installers have? Hey, Chris, there's no actual qualification for the roofers as such. There's always one qualified electrician on site that does all the final paperwork for the final connections. We're actually building some frameworks at the moment for the training academy, so we will be doing some qualifications for Lightforce Academy, which we're going to be bringing installers through, so that's pretty exciting. Is there a limit to giving power to someone else? No, no limit, Angela. Are there any requirements regarding the existing power switchboard in your home? Would this need to be upgraded for a solar system? Hey, James. Generally not. If it's a really old switchboard and, you know, it's one of those black asbestos hinged doors, generally we don't want to be you know, screwing into there, so we can either put a new little board off to the side. You know, it would be a perfect time for you to upgrade the switchboard if it's really old, but it's not essential. Does it keep out paper wasps? I'll just double check on that one, Angela, about on the bird brush, but I'm pretty certain it would keep out everything, because I don't think they'll be able to get through. Do the retailers have a maximum you can export back to the grid? No, and most retailers don't. I know a couple of retailers will change the, so say they start at 10 cents, they might have a limit on, well, I know Trustpower is the only one that I know, they've got a limit on how much you'll get on that 10 cents, and then it might move to a different rate, but generally there's no limit and it's just one fixed rate. What makes Lightforce better than other companies when considering installing solar? So that one's easy. We are fully in-house, so no subcontractors. Everyone's under the Lightforce roof, so you've got an expert that's turning up that's installed more than any other company in the country. We have got customer support, so you know, it's quite important that you don't use subcontractors or a company that's got no after support, because you're, you know, you're putting the system on your roof, it's 25-year lifespan, and you want to know that when you pick up the phone, if there's an issue down the track or you want to add a battery, that, you know, someone's going to answer the phone and give you what you need.
Just a quick question in the chat. How many kilowatts need to be installed for a home hot water cylinder?
Home hot water cylinder. So that would be dependent on size of the cylinder. Average cylinder would have, say, a 3 kilowatt element. So I mean, generally the systems we're putting in at the moment, we're seeing on average 7.5 kilowatt system seems to be our average, and that gives access to charge your battery. That would heat the water cylinder fine in the day. You wouldn't obviously wanting to be going anything less than sort of 4 or 5 if you've got a decent hot water cylinder. What happens when there's a mains power outage? Does the power stay on in the house with the system, or does everything go off? Hi, Chris. Everything goes off if it's panels only. So this is a big misconception that solar keeps going with panels only. It goes off, and the reason being, if there's an issue at the street and they're trying to get the power back on and the solar systems export into the grid, then someone's going to get a shock at the street. If there's batteries, however, it will keep going. You just won't export at the time, but you won't keep the whole house going. You'll just keep those essentials going. So generally we pick a couple of power points, a few lights, and just run those sort of key essential circuits.
Walter asks, can we go completely off the grid and not put excess power back into the grid if we want it?
Hi, Walter. We can go completely off grid. However, if you are already attached to the grid, we don't recommend it because it's incredibly expensive. If you were connected to the grid and you wanted to go completely off grid, you need to put a lot of batteries in. So in the middle of winter, when we get consecutive bad days, that you're not going to run out of power, and essentially you'd probably want to, if you're fully off grid, you may even need a battery, a generator for the depths of winter. So we do recommend staying grid connected, and essentially the grid is your backup generator. But we can still design a system where you will not touch the grid, even though you are connected to the grid. Can systems be damaged by power outages and brownouts? James, no. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but we haven't had any systems that have been damaged with brownouts. How much do you need to keep everything going? Well, if you think of it, Maurice, like a bucket of water. So if the battery, when the power goes out, say the battery is only half full. So this is a big thing. When the power actually goes out, if it's 4 in the morning, the chances are the battery might be flat. So we always need to bear this in mind. And sometimes we've got customers that are prone to blackouts that might just want to keep a bit of excess back in the battery. That if they do have a power cut, there's always a bit of energy in there. But say the power went out, the battery's half full. So say you've got 3 kilowatt hours of energy in the battery. If you've got a 1 kilowatt load on that, it's going to last for 3 hours. So, you halve that, you put a 500 watt load on, it's going to last for 6. So it's about managing the load that's on the battery. You don't want to go and stick a 3 kilowatt load on in a power cut, and then you've got 1 hour and your battery's flat. On the bad days in winter, how little can the panels generate? Like close to nothing at all. Hey, Jim, we still see sort of 20 to 30% generation, even on those really bad days. You can count on one hand the number of days where they're just black all day and just doesn't stop raining. Those days are obviously poor generation, but generally in winter we're seeing 20, 30, sometimes even more on bad days. And we've just passed the worst month. July was sort of the worst month, and now we're starting to see those longer nights come in and the sun coming up higher in the sky. So solar's really starting to pick up now. Thanks. How much for a 7.5 kilowatt panel with batteries, please? Hey, Gopi, if you wanted to just jump into the Q&A and click the link, you can jump on with one of the consultants and they can give you a prize straight away. Chris, is being on the coast a problem? Hi, Chris. No, that's not an issue. So they're all coated to not be affected by the salt.
Revneet asks, what watts are each panel?
So as are ranging from 385 to 400. The ones we're using at the moment is a 385 watt all black Trina. And then commercially they're around 500 watts, but that's a lot bigger panel.
Walter asks, can extra batteries be added in later?
Yep, totally. That's the beauty of having a battery that can be retrofitted in. So you can start with solar only, you can add a battery down the track, and you can also add, you can start with a small battery and then add second batteries or third batteries, and you can just keep scaling as and when you want. Lifespan of the system, 25-year performance warranty on the panels, 10-year warranty on the battery. Expected life of the system, solar only was 30 years. Expected life of the battery, sort of 15 to 20 years. Our system's able to provide 3-phase. Yep, we have 3-phase systems, James.
Barry Thomas asks, what are the pros and cons of buying a 25-year solar battery system versus a leased 25-year solar battery system?
So essentially, you're just in the long run, you're always better off to outright purchase. With a lease, obviously, whoever's leasing you the system has got to make money as well. So the end user is always going to be worse off when they're paying someone a leasing cost. So, we always prefer, we don't do leasing. It's not our model. The customer always owns the system in the end. And with the cost of capital being so cheap at the moment, we just recommend top it up the mortgage. And if you can get the money at 3%, it's sort of a no-brainer. An example of that sort of a lease system, a competitor that does lease systems, you might only see savings of $100, $200 a year, whereas with an outright system, you'll see savings of that in a month. So it's a dramatic difference. How do you between microinverters and string inverters? So microinverters for real tricky roofs, multiple roof faces, lots of shading. That's when a microinverter really comes into its own. String inverters are just more simple roofs, not too many roof faces. So there's pros and cons of both, but generally we're always string unless it's a really complex roof with a lot of shading. Is solar panels save cost compared to installation cost? Just want to explain that one a bit more, Gopi. Are you saying what's the installation cost versus the equipment cost? Roughly, if that's the question, would be roughly 10 to 15% of the cost would be installation. Any more from your side there, Abby?
Nah, looking all good over here. Oh, we got a new one.
Does a high wind zone region incur additional cost for installation? No additional cost, James. No. We have a hot tub. Is there an advantage to divert as opposed to a timer? Yeah, any sort of load, Angela, that you can divert excess on into the day is great, whether that's a hot water cylinder, swimming pool, hot tub. So if you're exporting for 8 cents and then coming back in the evening and buying it at 25, then obviously the economics of pushing it into a load and using that hot tub or the swimming pool or the hot water cylinder essentially as a battery will dramatically increase your savings. I think that could be everything. Another few minutes if anyone's got anything else. Using diverter rather than timer, which is best? We'd just stick with the timer, Angela. The cost of timer versus diverter is we're not a fan of the diverters. We've had issues over the years with diverters. It's just another thing to fail, and at a tenth of the cost for a timer. It's just a lot simple solution that can be adjusted by the client. Solar panels give continuous production in the daytime. Yep, so continuous production the whole time that the sun's up until the sun goes down. And that can be, Gopi explained to you, we could show you the generation throughout the whole year. If you wanted to jump into one of the rooms with the team, always best to make sure hot water system gets hot enough for long enough to kill bugs. So the hot water system would still be control with a thermostat. So whatever it was preset prior to solar, you wouldn't adjust those heating settings, Angela. So the temperature would stay the same. And if there wasn't enough solar to bring it up to temperature, the grid would kick in to bring it up to temperature.
Barry asks, what are the expectations with maintenance and the cost of that maintenance?
Barry, we recommend a clean sort of once a year, and I suppose cost depends on who does it. If you give them a wash yourself, then no cost. If we come and give it a wash, it's not much. You're talking a couple of hours labor, so $100, $200. Lead time for installation. Hey, Annie. Typically, we say sort of 6 to 8 weeks. Depends where you are in the country. And obviously, there's a few issues with lockdowns at the moment, which is preventing us getting back on roofs in Auckland. But a couple of weeks to get all of our applications in with the network, and then probably 4 weeks after that. So 6 to 8 weeks would be a kind of good indication of what it is at the moment. Awesome, guys. Well, I think that's us. Recommendations as to which power company is best to use. Hey, Angela. Depends what you're looking for, whether it's the better rate or the export. So that if depending on what size system you went for, we would recommend different companies for different size systems. But Lightforce Power or Electric Kiwi, Ecotricity, generally are 3 recommendations. Angela Merton, any recommendation? Oh, just read that one. Is that everything, Abby?
Oh, it is quiet. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, guys, thank you. Great questions. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we start getting back to normality next week out of lockdown. Awesome. Thank you.